Welcome my Fromland and Losties. Once again, it is time for Worlds to Collide as we explore the similarities and connections between From and Lost. In this episode of From Lost, we explore what is beyond the town, and is there others/moles in the midst of Fromland, and also is there a From Initiative, I would like to call it. More on that later in the video, but let's explore and look to the ancestors for the answers. And you know what that means.
We have to go back!
That's right, Jack. We have to go back. Let's go, shall we? First, let's explore the living conditions of the others in Lost. Wearing ragged clothing, living in tents, and they seem to live in pretty primitive fashion at first glance.
They live in tents. Canvas tents and teepees. They eat dried fish. They're worse off than we are.
Now, of course, for those of us who have watched the show, we all know that this is a front, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, let's go to some of the scenes we've seen thus far in season 3, from where we see Jim and Kenny. They appear to be going out into the forest. We see a desolate area with cabins and also stick figurines or a scarecrow, whatever you want to call them, seemingly a warning sign, but they could also be a deterrent from evil spirits. More on that in just a second. But there also could be inhabitants in this place. This is yet to be proven, but the theories are running wild with cannibals and things of that nature. But what if it's not cannibals? What if it's another group, perhaps, that's living beyond, this, what seems to be old cabins and things of that nature? What if this thing is all up front? Now, where I go next is going to give more credence to the it's an experiment, they are being watched theory. But let's not forget, there was also a Dharma station that also served a similar purpose of watching and recording and seeing how people will react in certain situations. I forget the name of the station. I don't have time to research right now. Now, we know how the others were really living past, that old encampment that we first see when they were initially introduced. Beyond the primitive living situation, there was the Dharma barracks, where they had comfy houses and electricity that came from nowhere. Sounds familiar, right?
Where do you get electricity?
We have 2 giant hamsters running in a massive wheel at our secret underground lair.
Yeah, that's funny.
There's no wire in here.
What?
In the cord.
Now in From, it's actually reversed. The townspeople who get trapped are already in the houses that have mysterious electricity comes from nowhere. I will say the Dharma barracks electricity has more of a concrete answer to it. That being the Dharma folks that were there before the purge tapped into the, I guess you could say, the energy or the light from the island, or magnetic energy, or some type of solar technology, I would assume, but it wasn't officially explained where the electricity came from as far as, the Dharma barracks are concerned. But that would be my guess. Now, in the Matthews case, the wires led to nowhere, as we saw, Tabitha dug underground and they went nowhere. So that leads to my next question. Where does the light come from? Is there a Dharma Initiative like group in From that has some type of advanced technology that produces self-running lamps, such as the one we see in the Matthews house? Maybe they're watching from somewhere beyond the town or remotely away from Fromville altogether. But let's move on to another similarity that I want to talk about here, and that is the whole mole thing. At this point, the mole is just a rumor and theory in Fromville, but in Lost there was indeed a mole in the midst of the plane survivors. Most people think about Ben, as his character is the most iconic from the others, but before that, there was, ironically enough, Ethan Rom, who was sent from the comfort of the barracks to infiltrate the islanders. But Ethan Tax was also researching fertility on the island, as far as, women being pregnant, things of that nature, along with Juliet. So I would give the side eye to whoever is giving a little too much attention to Fatima's baby. So we might have something like that going on in From, but as of right now, we only have Donna's the mole, Tilly's the mole. Is there a mole? We don't know. So hopefully we will have a mole in season 3. Let's talk about I guess you could say, the protections or the security of the others in Lost, as well as From. Now in From, we know we have the talismans to ward off the monsters. Season 3, we have the creepy scarecrow figures that may serve the same purpose. Lost also has this same idea. When the others are hostiles, they purge the Dharma folks. They also inherited, what are those things called? The pylons, that kept the smoke monster away, as well as any other unwelcome guest. So it was some type of sonic wave, or I would assume, that kept them protected as far as what those pylons were producing. But not only that, they also had the ash as well. You remember the ash? Even though that was more of a thing of, I guess, the people that protected Jacob. Was it Ileana? I can't remember her name. But yeah, they were in possession of that. And you also saw it. You saw it around Jacob's cabin. You saw it around the temple. And what was that guy's name? Bram or Braun or something like that. He tried to protect himself against the smoke monster, but of course he met his death in season 6 when, Fake Locke was wreaking havoc at the temple. So wrapping up with the talisman, is it an advanced technology disguised as a magical stone or a spiritual device created by a higher being? Is there some force or being beyond the town awaiting the townspeople? Were they brought here? Check out episode 4 for that connection and theory video. But other than that, slap that like button. And I'll see you guys for the next From Lost connection.